It was coming down in sheets, the kind of rain that makes even the tuk-tuk drivers pull over and wait it out. My phone was useless, soaked from the short dash I'd made from the corner store. I remember staring at the flickering screen like it owed me answers. Maps wouldn't load. No signal, no umbrella, just me, 63, newly retired, standing in a Phnom Penh alley like a confused tourist with too much time and too little direction. "You lost, Uncle." I turned. She was holding the smallest pink umbrella I'd ever seen. Barely enough for one person, let alone two. But she held it out to me anyway. I blinked at her like an idiot. "You speak English?" She laughed. "A little bit." She nodded at the phone in my hand. "Battery die?" "Just about everything died," I muttered. "Except the humidity." She grinned. "You want dry place?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, that'd be nice." She walked ahead of me without another word, and I followed like some obedient golden retriever. The hostel was tucked behind a noodle shop. Nothing fancy. A two-story building with a tiled lobby and the smell of instant coffee in the air. She pointed to a bench. "Sit, Uncle, I get towel." "You don't have to." "Rain not your friend today," she said, disappearing inside. I stared at the streaked windows. I didn't even know her name. She came back holding a blue towel and a plastic cup of hot tea. "Ginger," she said. "Good for old man bones." "Do I look that old?" "Maybe just a little slow," she teased. "You walk like your knees complain." I laughed, then winced. "You're not wrong." I dried my face, hands, neck. She sat across from me, not asking for anything. "What's your name?" I finally asked. "Dara." "Dara, that means my star?" "You learn fast, Uncle." "Don't call me Uncle, makes me feel ancient." "Okay, Grandpa," I groaned, and she laughed again, that carefree laugh. That didn't belong in such a gray, rainy afternoon. "You new in Phnom Penh?" she asked. "Moved here last week." "From Arizona." "Why?" I paused. "Tired of cactus." "No family." I shook my head slowly. "Not that still speaks to me." She didn't pry, just sipped her tea and looked out at the rain like we had all the time in the world. "You work at this hostel?" I asked. She nodded. "Reception, cleaning, sometimes cooking when the chef disappears." "Long day?" "Always." "Let me give you something," I said, pulling a few dollars from my pocket. "For the towel, the tea, the rescue." She waved her hands. No, just kindness. You need it more than me." That hit me harder than it should have. I don't know why, but her saying that, I felt it in my chest. "Kindness is rare," I said. "You sure you can afford to give it away?" She leaned in a little. "You look like someone who needs to remember people still care." I smiled. "You always this blunt?" "Only with old men who get lost in the rain." I looked down at the cup in my hands. "You know, Dara, I didn't expect anyone to notice me here. I thought maybe I'd just blend in, fade a little." "Rain doesn't let you fade," she said. "It makes everything louder." We sat in silence for a bit after that. Just the sound of the storm and the occasional scooter splash outside. I watched her out of the corner of my eye. She couldn't have been more than 30, maybe younger. No makeup, hair tied back, simple clothes. But something about her, the calm, the no-nonsense care, it stuck. "You have somewhere to go now?" she asked. I shrugged. "Not really. Just wandering, trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing here." "Start with dry clothes," she said. "Then maybe, Tina, you look like man who eats too many instant noodles. I thought you weren't judging." "I'm not," she said with a grin. "I'm advising." That was the beginning. Just a rainy afternoon, a towel, a cup of ginger tea, and a stranger with a smile that felt warmer than anything I'd known in years. I didn't know then how much that moment would cost me. I just knew as I stepped back into the street, drier, lighter somehow, that I wanted to see her again. And I would. I started showing up around 10 each morning, pretending I liked the bitter espresso at the cafe across from her hostel. Truth was, I just liked catching her between shifts, apron on, phone in her back pocket, that half smile when she noticed me sitting there again. "You drink same thing every day," she said once, wiping a table beside me. "You like the coffee or the view?" "Honestly," I tilted my cup. "You're a much better reason to be here than this sludge." She smirked. Then maybe I charge you rent for the chair. Fair, how much? Depends, she said, leaning slightly. You want discount for old man charm? I laughed more around her than I had in years. Still, I never wanted to cross a line. One morning, as she brought me a fresh cup without asking, I said, I've been thinking. I could use some help. Around the apartment. Groceries. Cleaning. Translation, maybe. She raised an eyebrow. You ask every Cambodian girl that. Just the one who saved me from the rain and mocked my knees. She laughed. How much you pay? 200 a month, no funny business, just honest work. No funny business, she said, pretending to frown. Then I charge double. Deal, I said, pretending not to care how fast my heart was beating. The first time she came over, I cleaned before she got there. Stupid, I know. I paced the balcony like I was waiting for a date. She knocked softly. You live high up, she said, walking in. Good view, but lonely. Yeah, I said. That's kind of the point. You not lonely? I try not to be, she shrugged. I like quiet too, but too much quiet. It makes your chest heavy. That's exactly what it feels like, I said, surprised she nailed it so fast. She started organizing my cabinets like it was a game. So you put noodles next to soap, she scolded, holding both up. Is this American style? It's lazy style, I said. I didn't move here for a domestic rating. Well, 1 star, she grinned, moving around like she'd lived. There for years. I offered her a drink. Just water, she said. Tea makes me sleepy, coffee makes me talk too much. I don't mind your talking. She glanced up. Even when I say you have sad eyes? Especially then, I said. She stayed longer each time. Some days we didn't do much. She'd sweep, then sit. You know, I told her one afternoon, you don't have to keep calling me uncle. Makes me feel like I'm wearing orthopedic shoes. You want me to call you darling? She teased. Let's settle for Mr. Okay, Mr. Sad Eyes, she said, and I just smiled. One night, as I walked her downstairs, she stopped at the door. You live alone too long. It makes... Oh, your smile tired. You think I should get a dog? Dog not make you laugh like I do. That's true, I said. But they don't leave when the rent's due either. She didn't answer that, just looked at me. I almost reached for her hand, but she stepped back. I come tomorrow, she said quickly. You buy fresh fruit, no more noodles. I watched her walk off, wondering what the hell I was doing. This wasn't a romance, it was an arrangement. A kind one, yes, but I paid her. That line was always there, even if we danced around it. Still, I felt lighter with her around. The way she folded towels, the way she corrected my Khmer pronunciation with a giggle, the way she hummed while wiping the windows. She didn't treat me like a burden, she didn't pity me. She just showed up, made the place feel less empty. And I started looking forward to mornings again. Do you think I'm foolish? I asked her one evening, after we shared mango and sticky rice on the balcony. For what? Hiring you, hoping it means more than it probably does. She put her fork down. You lonely. I lonely. Sometimes we help each other not feel it too much. That's not foolish. And if I start hoping for more? She looked out over the rooftops. Then we talk about it. Not now, but maybe later. That was enough for me then, not a promise, not a rejection, just hope, and I hadn't felt that in a long time. You don't like the city? I asked, watching her fold my laundry with one hand and sip sugarcane juice with the other. Too loud, she said. Too many lies in big places. And the village? Real, simple, no one pretend. I leaned on the counter. You miss it? Every week. But my family need money. You send it to them? She nodded. Every month my mother's sick. Father no work now, I help. You always helping everyone, I said. Even me. She smirked. You pay me, remember? Not enough. For all you do. She turned. You want give more? I want to give you a day off. She laughed, sat down across from me, and pulled her hair out of the ponytail like she was finally relaxing. You talk like boyfriend now. Just a kind employer, I smiled, with good intentions and bad knees. She stayed longer that day. We ate grilled fish on the balcony. The air was thick with heat, but she didn't complain. You ever think about leaving Cambodia? I asked. Sometimes, but I want to open salon in my village. Why a salon? Because women come to talk, not just for hair. They cry. They share secrets. I like listening. You'd be good at that, I said. You already listen better than most therapists I've paid. You pay someone to listen? I used to, when my marriage ended. She tilted her head. You talk about her before? Not really. I paused. We were married 28 years. She left me when our daughter turned 18. Said she felt invisible. Dara looked at me, serious now. You make her feel that. Probably, I said. I was always working, missed birthdays, made promises I couldn't keep. And your daughter? We haven't spoken in 6 years. She didn't say anything, just passed me the last piece of fish. That's why I came here, I admitted. I thought maybe I could forget the silence. And now? Now I like the quiet, especially when you're in it. Later, she helped me fix the leaky faucet. I stood behind her, handing tools, pretending not to watch the way her hair kept slipping over her shoulder. She wiped her hands, looked up at me. You look tired. It's the age. No, she said, it's the heart. What do you mean? Old man heart still hoping someone sees him. I laughed. That obvious? She leaned in, brushed my hand. Your hand shake when I touch. It's arthritis. Liar, she whispered. Old man heart beating now? A little, I said. Not dead yet. She didn't move away, I didn't either. Then she pulled back, smirking like it was a joke, but something stayed in the air. A pause, a question unspoken. You want mango? She asked, standing up like nothing happened. Only if you cut it, I said, trying to hide the rush in my chest. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying that moment, the way her fingers grazed mine, the softness in her voice. Was it real? Or was I reading into things because I wanted to? I'd told myself this arrangement was clean, clear. But now it felt messy. Not in a bad way, but in a way that made my chest ache with something I hadn't felt in years. You okay? She asked the next day when she noticed I was quieter. Just tired. You dream too much, mister. Maybe I dreamed the right amount. She reached across the table, pointed to her temple. Dreams live here, but life lives here. She tapped her chest. And where do lies live? I asked. In both, she said. That's why people get confused. I watched her clean up the dishes. I wanted to believe I wasn't confused, that this was something, that we were building something, but part of me knew I was starting to feel something she might not be offering. Still, I didn't stop her from staying longer. I didn't ask questions, I just let it happen, because her presence filled something in me that had been hollow for far too long. And hope, even unspoken, is a hard thing to resist. You're late, I said, checking the wall clock without trying to sound annoyed. You say 6, it's almost 8. She dropped her bag near the couch and sighed. Traffic crazy, tuk-tuk stuck, I call you, no answer. My phone was charging. See, she said, already heading toward the kitchen. Not my fault. I followed her. You could have messaged earlier. She pulled out a container of noodles. You hungry or you angry? Both. She smirked like that fixed everything. I didn't push. I hated fights. I hated silence more. The next day she was glued to her phone, kept turning the screen when I walked past. At one point she giggled, then looked at me and stopped smiling. Something funny? I asked. Just cousin. He's stupid. What's so stupid? She hesitated, then showed me the message. It read, Why are you still at the old man's place? My throat tightened. That's your cousin? He joke like that. Always rude. You sure that's a joke? She rolled her eyes. You think I lie to you now? No, I looked away. Forget it. You overthink too much, she said, sitting beside me. You always thinking what I do wrong. Maybe think what you do right. That night I barely slept. I replayed the message in my head. Old man's place. That's what I was. A location. A joke? I tried brushing it off, but it scratched at something deeper, a fear I didn't want to name. Still, the next morning I gave her cash. For what? She asked. You didn't ask. I need little help, she said quietly. My brother, he in hospital, liver problem, very bad. How much? Maybe 300, just loan. I pay you back. I opened my drawer. You don't have to pay me back. She looked up, surprised. You sure? Yeah, family's important. 2 days later, she said she couldn't stay the night. Hostel call me. Extra shift. I thought you quit there. No, just part-time now. She kissed my cheek and left before I could think too hard about it. That's when I started noticing things. She kept her bag closer. She started bringing her own soap, her own charger. She used to leave things at my place. Now she took them home. You okay? I asked once. You seem distant. You always asking questions lately, she said. You don't trust me. I do, I just worry. Don't worry, she smiled. I still here, right? Then came the rent story. Landlord angry, she said one afternoon, pacing my living room. I late 2 weeks, he say he locked my room. How much? 150. I pulled out my wallet again. I don't like asking, she said. I know. You good man, she whispered, hugging me tight. But something in her voice, it didn't sit right. It was too soft, too practiced. Or maybe I was just being paranoid. Maybe kindness felt foreign to me now. Maybe I'd forgotten what it's like to be needed, and mistook that for being wanted. Next it was her bike. I almost die, she said, walking in with dust on her legs. Chain broke, I fall, look. She showed me a scrape on her knee. You should go to the clinic. I okay, just need fix bike. Mechanics say $60. I nodded slowly. So you want me to pay? She didn't answer right away, just looked down. Only if okay, I hate asking. I handed her the money. She hugged me again. You like Angel, she said. That word stuck with me. Angel. It sounded like a thank you. It also sounded like a line. I stared at the ceiling after she left. What was I doing? Was I a fool? Was she using me? But then I thought about her sitting on my balcony laughing at my stories, the way she brought me oranges when I was sick, the time she cried watching a drama and wiped her eyes like she didn't want me to see. That was real, wasn't it? Don't be paranoid, I told myself. She's just struggling, life's hard here, you're helping. That's what love is, right? But the part of me that used to ask the hard questions, he was getting quieter, and I didn't know if that meant I was growing closer to her or just further from myself. I increased her salary to $400 that month. It didn't feel like much to me, but it felt like the right thing. She didn't ask, didn't beg, just worked and smiled her quiet smile when I handed her the envelope. You're too kind, mister, she said, her voice soft but not ungrateful. I didn't tell her why I'd done it. She didn't need to know. I wasn't trying to buy her affection, I just wanted her to stay, to keep coming by. Maybe the more I paid, the more I'd get. That's how it worked, right? You pay, you get. It was simple. I think I started convincing myself that the $400 made us something else. Maybe it meant more than just a transaction. Maybe it meant trust. She called me Bongsray after that, Big Brother, and I laughed, joking about my age, but part of me liked it, liked how it sounded. It felt like a title, like something permanent, even if it was just a word. You're so quiet lately, she said one night after we ate together. You always think too much, mister. I think about you, Dara, I said before I could stop myself. She didn't seem to mind. That's good, she replied. You trust me. I looked at her, her face so calm, so easy. I do, I said. I trust you more than I should. It was a strange feeling, trusting her. It wasn't like the trust I had for friends back home. This was different. This was fragile, tender, something that felt almost too good to be true. I didn't want to question it. She was there for me, helping me when no one else would. She didn't ask for anything other than my company, and that meant everything. A few weeks later, she started staying over. At first, it was just once or twice a week. I told myself it wasn't anything. She was just tired from work. You can stay here if you need to, I said. I have the space. She smiled, and that was all. No complicated feelings, no promises. But each time she stayed, it felt like something shifted. She started leaving a toothbrush in my bathroom. Her clothes were always on the chair by the window, not folded but left like she'd just thrown them off. At first it was small. It felt natural. It felt easy. I wasn't used to easy. It felt good. I felt good. I remember the first night she stayed the whole night. She came out of the shower, towel wrapped around her, her hair still damp. "I can sleep here tonight," she said, looking at me with a hint of shyness. "Okay," I said. "You're welcome to." She climbed into the bed and I just stayed there on the edge of the mattress, trying not to breathe too loud. We were both quiet, but the kind of quiet that wasn't awkward, the kind of quiet that felt comfortable. The next morning she woke, up early as always, and made us both coffee. We sat together at the table. "I trust you," she said again, and this time it sounded different, more solid, like it wasn't just about sleeping here, it was about something more. "That's good," I said. "I trust you too." And I meant it. In that moment, I really did. I never asked for intimacy. I never pushed for anything more than what we had. But there were moments, small moments, when I thought maybe this was it. Maybe we were becoming something real. But then I'd catch myself, and the doubt would creep in. She wasn't mine. She never was. We weren't. Lovers, not really. But when she stayed over, I began to confuse comfort with connection. I told myself I was giving her peace, and maybe that was enough. She'd go home on the weekends to see her family or to check on her business. When she came back, she'd always have stories. "I helped my cousin with her shop," she'd say, her eyes lighting up. "I see my mother. She looks better now." I liked hearing about her family. It made me feel like I knew her, that I wasn't just the old man who gave her money. I was her friend, her confidant, maybe even more. But deep down I knew I was lying to myself. I was just filling the silence, pretending that this was love, that the quiet dinners and the late-night talks were building something that would last. Don't know when it started, but I began waiting for her. Not just to show up, but to fill the space in my life that I didn't know was empty. I was giving her so much of myself, and I told myself it was okay, because she trusted me. She said she trusted me, and that felt like everything. But as I sat there in the evenings waiting for her to come by, I started to realize something. I wasn't just waiting for her. I was waiting for her to tell me I was enough, and I told myself it was fine. I told myself that this was love. Just the slow kind. Just the kind that builds over time, one small gesture at a time. But deep down I knew. I wasn't giving her peace. I was paying for it. And as much as I wanted to deny it, I couldn't shake the feeling that in the end I would be the one left wanting. The weekend came and went. No word, no message. I waited, thinking maybe she was just busy. But when Monday morning rolled around, and she still hadn't shown up, I started feeling something twist in my stomach. I tried calling her, but it went straight to voicemail. Twice, then 3 times. I left messages. "Hey Dara, it's me, just checking in. Hope everything's okay." But I never heard back. By the afternoon I couldn't sit still. I had to do something. So I grabbed my jacket and left, stepping out into the hot, thick air of the city. I stopped by the hostel first, but the front desk clerk looked at me with a blank stare when I asked about her. "Dara, she not work here anymore," the kid said, flipping through the papers on the counter. "When?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Couple days ago. She left, said she was going back home." I stood there, staring at the kid, waiting for him to say something else, but he didn't. I turned away, the weight of those words sinking in. She wasn't coming back. She didn't even say goodbye. I didn't know what to do. My mind raced with 1,000 thoughts. Maybe she was in trouble. Maybe she had left for some reason I couldn't understand. Maybe she was in some kind of danger. I convinced myself I needed to find her, that I had to fix it somehow. I spent the next few hours walking the streets, my heart beating faster with every turn, every corner I passed. I asked tuk-tuk drivers, strangers on the street, anyone who might have seen her. I even stopped at the local hospital. "Have you seen a woman, young, dark hair, around this tall?" I asked the receptionist, but she just shook her head. "Sorry, sir, no one by that description." I stood there feeling like a fool. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was looking for. Was I expecting to find her tied up somewhere? Was I expecting some grand rescue? I didn't even know what I thought I would do if I found her, but all I knew was I couldn't let it go. I had to find her. After hours of searching, of looking into every face and checking every corner I thought she might have been in, I finally gave up. I was exhausted. My legs ached. The hot sun felt like it was burning the life out of me. I walked back to my apartment, feeling like an idiot. My heart was racing. The words of the hostel clerk kept echoing in my mind. She left. I dropped my bag on the floor when I got inside and fell onto the couch. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. What was I doing? Why had I let myself believe that this was real? I picked up my phone again, hoping for some kind of miracle, but the screen was empty. No messages, no missed calls, just silence. And then it hit me. The truth that had been creeping in the back of my mind. The thing I had been pushing away. Deep down, I wasn't missing her. I wasn't missing the girl who had smiled at me, who had made my mornings brighter. I was missing the fantasy. The fantasy of love, of hope, of something that wasn't ever really there. I had convinced myself that she was different, that she was the one who would change everything, but she wasn't. She had used me, not cruelly, but in the way people do when they need something. She needed help, and I was more than willing to give it to her. But what I didn't realize was that I wasn't just helping her, I was helping myself. I was helping myself believe that maybe this time I could be someone's reason to smile. I slumped back into the couch, the weight of it all pressing down on me. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad anymore. I was just empty. She was gone, and I had nothing left to hold on to but the lies I had told myself. That's when the grief started to settle in. It wasn't a sharp pain, not yet, but it was, there deep in my chest, heavy and cold. I could feel it in every part of me like a slow leak that had finally run its course. The fog had lifted, and now I could see the truth. She was never mine. She was never going to be mine. And maybe that's what I had been afraid of all along, that I was never going to be enough. I picked up my phone one last time, staring at the empty screen. I had hoped she'd come back, that something would change, but the truth was it was never going to happen. I could keep searching, keep running after the same fantasy, or I could face it, accept it, let it go. I didn't know which one was harder. It was Jamie who sent me the link. He was an expat like me, a little younger, a little more cynical, but he liked to keep in touch, checking up on me now and then. "You still thinking about her?" he asked in the message. "I think you need to see this." I opened the link, without even thinking. It was a Facebook page, Dara's Facebook, but it wasn't her anymore. Her name was different, not by much, just enough to make it seem new, like she'd erased the last part of herself and left a new version of herself in its place. I clicked on the profile picture. It was her, but she was standing next to a man. He was younger, flashier, the kind of guy I never was. I stared at the picture for a long time, feeling something twist inside me. I didn't know what I was looking at, but I couldn't look away. She was smiling, really smiling. Not the forced kind of smile she used to give me when I made her laugh, the one that didn't quite reach her eyes. This one was different. This one was full of something I never got to see. Her caption hit me like a fist. "My life now, thank you to the past." I sat there staring at the screen for what felt like hours, the words swimming in front of me, but I couldn't process them. My mind raced. I didn't understand. What the hell was I looking at? Why was she so far gone? Why didn't she tell me? My stomach felt tight, my mouth dry. I clicked around her page, looking for anything that made sense, but all I found were photos of her with him. Trips, dinner dates, pictures of their hands intertwined. A life she had built without me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't focus on anything but that picture. I was losing her in front of me, but I couldn't reach her. I wanted to message her to ask her why, but I already knew the answer. I was a fool for thinking she cared. I was just a stepping stone, a place to wait out until she found something better. And now she had. I was nothing but a forgotten transaction. She was living her life, her real life, while I was still sitting here clinging to whatever I thought we had. The next day, she blocked me. No message, no explanation. Just gone. I tried to message her once, twice, but each time my message was met with silence. The kind of silence that feels louder than words ever could. She was gone. I don't know what hurt more, seeing the picture, the happy couple, or knowing that she'd erased me without a second thought. I wasn't even worth a goodbye. No closure, no regret, just nothing. She didn't need to explain. I wasn't important enough for that. She had moved on, she had someone else now, and I sat there staring at the screen, knowing deep down that I wasn't the one she had been with all this time. She didn't love me. I wasn't a part of her life. I was a fleeting moment, a source of money, and when she got what she needed, I was cast aside. I tried to hold on to the hope that maybe it wasn't that simple, that maybe she had feelings for me, but the truth was staring me in the face now. She never cared about me. Not like I cared about her. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone across the room, but I didn't. I just sat there broken, watching my own mistake unfold before my eyes. It had all been a lie. I had given her everything, and she had given me nothing but an illusion. She wasn't my partner. She wasn't even a friend. She was just someone who needed money, and I had been too blinded by my own loneliness to see it. And now she was gone, just like that. And I was left holding on to the pieces of something that was never real. I couldn't stop replaying it. Every moment we had, every word she said, it kept running through my mind like a broken tape. The way she leaned in when she listened, the way her eyes softened when I told her something personal. I could see it so clearly in my head. I could hear the laughter, the little jokes she'd tell, the way she'd brush her hair behind her ear when she got nervous. Was it real? Was it all just a show? Or was I so desperate to feel something that I imagined it all? I started asking myself these questions more often than I'd like to admit. Was she faking it? Did she even care about me, or was I just an old man with a bank account? Maybe I was just lonely enough to fund my own heartbreak. I had started to wonder if I was paying for her attention, paying for her time. Maybe all that talk about her family, her dreams, the way she'd open up to me, was it just a way to keep me close enough to help when she needed it? I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been blinded by my own emotions. I told myself I was being careful, that I wouldn't let myself get too involved. But I did. I allowed myself to believe she cared, to believe that something real could come from all the kindness, the quiet conversations. But now I wasn't so sure. Did she actually care, or was it just a calculated move on her part? Did she see me as some kind of safety net, a temporary solution to her problems? She always said she trusted me, but did she? Or was it just the right thing to say? I couldn't trust the smile anymore. I couldn't trust the words. I had been the fool, hadn't I? The whole time I had been trying to fill a hole in myself, trying to fix what was broken in my own heart, by giving her what I thought she needed. Maybe I had been so starved for affection that I ignored the signs, the little cracks in the story she told me, the contradictions. The way she always seemed to be on the edge of saying something important, but stopped herself. I kept thinking about that damn message from her cousin. Why are you still at the old man's place? I kept playing it over and over, wondering if I was just the guy she stayed with until something better came along. But I didn't want to face that reality. I didn't want to admit that I had let myself fall for someone who might have never been interested in me at all. I was ashamed that I'd let myself become so caught up in her, in the idea of what we could be, when all along I was just an option to her, a temporary fix. I spent days trying to convince myself I wasn't being paranoid, but I knew the truth now. I knew I had been played, and I hated myself for not seeing it sooner. I stopped going to the cafe where we first met. It felt like a ghost town now, the place where I had let myself dream of something more. It wasn't just the cafe, though. I stopped going anywhere we had been together. I cancelled my lease, packed up my things, and moved into a smaller place. I didn't want to keep haunting the places where we had smiled together. I didn't want to keep walking through the streets where I had believed in something that was never real. I couldn't bear the thought of seeing her face in every corner of the city, of hearing her laugh echo in my head. It was a kind of grief I wasn't prepared for. It wasn't just the loss of her. It was the loss of what I thought I had. I had to face the fact that I wasn't as important to her as she had made me believe. I was a distraction, a temporary fix. And that hurt more than anything. I kept asking myself why I had let it go on so long. I should have known. I should have seen the signs. But instead, I had ignored them because I wanted it to be real. I wanted her to care about me. I wanted her to love me. But now all I had were the memories. Memories of a woman who had never been mine. Memories of a love that wasn't love at all. And I was left with nothing. Just the wreckage of my own foolishness. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. No goodbye posts, no last drinks with the guys, no dramatic farewell. I just packed up my things, left the apartment, and got on a plane back to Arizona. It felt almost too easy. Like I'd been holding my breath for so long that when I exhaled, everything just fell into place. I didn't look back. I didn't say anything to anyone, no explanations, no apologies. It was as if I wasn't even there to begin with. The plane ride was the quietest 16 hours of my life. I've flown before, been in the air plenty of times, but this time felt different. There were no distractions, no loud conversations from fellow passengers, no thoughts swirling around in my head, just silence. And for once, the silence didn't feel suffocating. It was peaceful, almost comforting. I wasn't rushing to figure anything out. I wasn't desperate for answers. I was just floating. When I landed, I didn't feel the weight of the decision pressing down on me. It was like the moment I stepped off the plane, everything in Phnom Penh was already far behind me. The memories weren't gone, but they didn't have the same sharpness they once did. The pain of losing Dara, the confusion, the regret, it was still there. But it wasn't as immediate. It was more like an echo now, fainter with each passing hour. Back at home, I started writing again. Not love letters. No apologies to her, no angry rants, just memories. The quiet moments we had, the soft laughter, the small things she said that didn't make sense at the time, but now, with some distance, they seemed clearer. I didn't write to her. I wrote to myself, to remember what it was like to want something so badly that you ignored the signs, the whispers in the back of your mind, telling you it was never meant to be. To remember that despite all the hurt, there were moments, real moments, that weren't just fantasy. And as I wrote, I realized something. Dara did what she thought she had to do. She had her reasons. She wasn't some villain in my story. She was just a person trying to survive. And I was a fool for thinking that I was different, that I was the exception to whatever game she was playing. But I wasn't. I was just another chapter in her life, one she closed when she no longer needed me. I stopped blaming her. What good did it do to keep blaming her? She wasn't the cause of my pain, I was. I let myself believe in something that wasn't real. I let myself think that someone could fix me, could give me what I had lost over the years. And when she disappeared, it wasn't her fault. It was mine for letting myself fall into something so fragile, so easily broken. But I survived. I don't know if that's what she wanted for me. I don't know if she cared whether I survived or not. But I did. I'm still here. And somehow, I've managed to find a way to live with what happened, to live without the anger, the self-pity, to live without the fantasy of what I thought we were. It's strange, but as the days pass, I don't miss her the way I thought I would. I don't feel like I need answers. I don't need to understand everything. All I need is to accept that it wasn't meant to be, that maybe it wasn't even about her, or me, or us. Maybe it was just a moment in time, a moment that ended when it was supposed to. I sit here now looking at the words I've written. And I'm not sad, I'm not angry, I'm just here. And for the first time in a long time, that's enough. I'm sitting in my small apartment in Tucson now, a few months, removed from everything that happened. It's quiet here, the kind of quiet that's almost peaceful, but not quite. It's the quiet that settles in after the storm, when the wind has died down, but the damage is still there. The rain's coming down hard outside, a steady drizzle that taps against my windows. I can't help but smile a little. It's funny, but when it rains, I remember her. The umbrella she offered me when I was lost. standing in the middle of the street in Phnom Penh, that warmth, that laugh. I don't know why, but it always comes back to that moment. The way she didn't hesitate to help. She didn't ask anything. In return, she just reached out. I never told her this, but that's the moment I started believing in something again. Not love, not yet. But the idea that maybe I could feel something real after all these years of emptiness. I never hated her. Not truly. She did what she thought she had to do. She never promised me anything more than what she gave. It was me fooling myself, thinking there was something deeper. But I don't hate her, I can't, I don't love her either, not anymore. I loved the idea of her. I loved the way she made me feel alive again, like I mattered, like I was worth something. But love is never that simple, is it? Not when it's based on a lie. Not when it's rooted in something that was never real to begin with. I gave her a salary that meant nothing to her, I'm sure. It was an exchange. She helped me with things, made me feel needed, and in return I helped her, tried to fix what I thought was broken in both of us. Maybe I thought if I gave her enough, I'd be able to hold on to her. I never asked for anything more than what she gave. But looking back, I realize now, I was the one who was paying for my own hope. That's the price I paid. I don't hate her for what she did. She left and I let her go. I wasn't angry. Maybe I was once, but not anymore. What good would that do? No one's going to fix the past. It's over. I can't change it, and neither can she. All I can do now is accept it, let it sit with me and learn from it. She reminded me that I could still feel, even if it hurt, and maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all it was supposed to be. Just a reminder that I could still hope, still dream, even if it was fleeting. I don't need revenge. I don't need her to come back and explain herself. I don't need any of that. All I need is to understand that for a moment, I wasn't invisible. For a brief moment, I was part of someone else's world. Even if it was just temporary, that's enough. For now, at least. So I sit here, in this quiet apartment, staring out the window at the rain. I think about the past, but it doesn't feel heavy anymore. It doesn't pull at me. I've let go of the guilt, the confusion, and the sadness that used to fill me. It's not gone, but it's not as loud as it used to be. I don't think about her every day anymore. I don't wonder what she's doing or where she is. I don't need to know. I've learned to live with the space she left behind. It's not a void anymore. It's just open. It's just a part of me like everything else I've carried. And for once, I'm okay with that. When the rain falls, I smile. And for the first time in a long time, it feels like peace.